Hello, spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scary-ish Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace. This is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And today, we're here to tell you folks, or read to you folks, some homegrown horrors. Adam, why don't you go ahead and tell us what those are?
Homegrown horrors are stories that you wonderful listeners and viewers have sent in to us. It's something that is either paranormal, supernatural, sometimes true crime, sometimes coincidental, and it's always a story that you've decided you want us to share, because we do not share your stories if you do not want us to, and we sincerely appreciate all the emails we get that say, please share this on the podcast, because sometimes it's funny, and you just want to hear your story read, and sometimes you think your story might actually help someone, and we appreciate all of them. Robin, is folk the singular of folks? If a person had a story like that, where could they send it?
You can send it to our email directly if you like, storytime@scarish.com. You can also go to our website, scarish.com. There's a contact us page. Just fill out that page, and it gets sent to us that way. And you know, social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff.
All that good stuff. So
we don't do
times.
TikTok.
No TikToks. We don't do that stuff. But yeah, we appreciate all the emails we get, and we're going to start off reading one now, I think. And this one's subject is The Red Man. It's a pretty good name for an email. Starts out like this. Hello, Robin and Adam.
Hello, that's us.
Hello, what up? My name is, let me say this right, Yahira, but you can call me Yaya.
Aw.
I live in Houston, Texas. I've been listening to you guys since episode 23. You guys do a great job, and you guys should keep it up.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. First of all, this homegrown horror is actually not mine, but my auntie's story. She goes by Maddie. Her story starts when she was 17. My auntie back then always used to get mad at her mom / my grandma. When my grandma would tell her to do something, she would get mad at her and say that she had her sister / my mom to help her, and then she would leave the house. The one night my grandma and my auntie got into a big fight. The same night, my auntie had woken up at 2 a.m. because she couldn't sleep, so she went downstairs to get some water. Keep in mind, in the kitchen, there was a window on top of the oven. So when my auntie got her water and she started drinking it and looked at the window, which was pitch black, out of nowhere, 2 red eyes popped out and my auntie was in shock.
That's terrifying.
A big body that was red with horns and had the red eyes went through the oven and looked at my auntie. My auntie suddenly screamed and the red man disappeared.
So the window, I guess, is not a window like a wall window. It's the window into the oven.
Yeah,
and
that would make sense.
So the thing's coming out of the oven.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thank you for painting that picture for me. Her mom and sister woke up and went downstairs to see what happened. When they made it to the kitchen, my auntie was on the floor. Her mom said, "What happened?" My shaking auntie said, "El Diablo."
Oh my God.
Thanks for hearing my auntie's story, and you can, of course, share this on the podcast.
It's like she saw a freaking demon.
Yeah, bye-bye. I think it's really poor timing that it happened right after your aunt had an argument with your grandmother, because you know your grandmother, at least my grandmothers, would be like, this is what happens when you argue with your mom. It's like the devil shows up for you. And that's absolutely fucking terrifying. So
yeah.
It's a really good story. I appreciate you and your aunt for sending that in. That's fantastic. So thank you so much. I'm sure there's stories out there too with like more El Diablo appearing to people. And I wonder if they're all tied to arguing with your mom. I hope not, because then all of our moms would be correct that we need to obey them. And that would suck. So thank you one more time for sending that in.
Cool. This next email is about the 2011 earthquake. That's what's in the title. Sounds
interesting.
Good.
Which 2011 earthquake?
I don't know. There was more than one.
You said so I figured there was a big one that I just forgot about.
I wouldn't know. I don't remember. The only earthquake I remember is when, what was it, last year?
It's 2019,
where everything started just shaking in the loft. That was the only one that I ever remember.
It's like July 2nd or 3rd. So. It was right around the 4th of July.
Well, there was the one, too, out here where the actual freeway, like, split.
Yeah, that's the same one.
That was this past year?
No, the split one out here?
Yeah.
We were in the air flying back to Chicago when that one happened.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's a different, like...
That's a completely different one than the one we were talking about.
Well, yeah. Okay, anyway.
The only one I remember was the first sentence, and then it went on to be a different one as well.
All right, so this goes. Hello.
Hello.
I'm currently listening to the 78th episode of Storytime, and Robin is reading about the 2011 March earthquake / tsunami in Japan.
There you go.
All right, cool.
Now I remember that one.
I normally like to completely catch up before I send a message to a podcast I'm a fan of, but this one literally hits home. I'd love to have my story read just to have an I was there too moment with a fellow listener. Oh, before I get carried away, I go by Nisha, no hard feelings if it's pronounced wrong. At almost 31, I have family that still screws it up. It's pronounced with a long E if that helps. Fuck yeah. Nailed it on the first try.
Also,
Fuck
thank you for saying no hard feelings, because we always wonder if people are like, stupid person didn't get my name right.
I cannot believe I pronounced that correctly.
Good work. I'll high five you.
Boom.
Adam redeems a high five on that one.
Thank
there you
you.
go.
March 7th, 2011, I was a senior airman with the USAF, U.S. Air Force, at Yokota Air Base in Japan. On that day, the base was beginning a week-long exercise with 24-hour operations. That sounds intense.
It's a lot of operations.
I don't even... What if it's just one operation then?
It's a long operation.
I was on the 1800 to 0600 shift. So that's, 6 o'clock to 6 a.m.
Yep.
So 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. All right. I always was. I didn't really do anything outside of my shift. I'd get home around 0700 to 7 a.m. just to shower, eat, and then immediately pass out until it was time to wake up again. It's not as bad as it sounds, and the base exercises usually end right before I'd start my last shift on Friday. March 11th, I remember being partially in my uniform and stalking any and all forms of notification to find out if the exercise had ended. It did. So I immediately disrobed and hopped into the bathroom for a real shower and to wash my hair. I was so ready to go down to Coco's Curry for dinner. Coco Curry in Japan is like one of the most popular curry places to go to. It's like, I don't even know what to equate it to out here.
It's like Red Lobster when all you can eat shrimp pops back up.
Probably.
It's fucking nuts.
Anyway, so we'll go to Coco Curry for dinner, eat until I got sick, and then go to sleep until it was absolutely necessary that I wake up. When I got out of the shower, I sat on the floor in my bedroom in only a towel. Stick with me, it's about to become relevant. My now ex-husband was home too. Let's call him B. B was on the day shift during the exercise, so we hadn't seen much of each other. We usually talk about the humorous moments we may have had during the exercise. I don't remember what he was saying, if anything, but I remember looking at my personal emails and seeing something from my dad asking me what we were doing about the earthquakes. I remember not recalling earthquakes, but also wondering what the fuck he thought I was going to do about a whole island country shaking. As I joked about it, I began to feel shaky. What are the freaking odds? I began to feel shaky. Immediately, I thought out loud, I think I need to eat. Then B quickly sat up in bed and locked eyes with me, still down on the floor. I realized that he was shaking too. I then felt it absolutely appropriate to ask him, are we having an earthquake? The next moment, our bedroom was violently shaking. It felt as if we were on the rockiest roller coaster that had barely passed safety regulations.
Wow.
And the guy who makes sure the ride stops is on vacation. The windows...
I've been on that roller coaster, by the way. It's in Indiana. They shut that shit down.
What?
Yeah. This place called Indiana Beach was the Hoosier Hurricane. It was an all-wood roller coaster. And I remember going on it when I was a kid at first, and I was like, oh, this is super fun. And then, I went back the older I got. And I remember being like, someone's going to fucking die on this thing. Because it's like, you'd be on straightaways and be like, clunk, 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 clunk. And it would be too much left and right motion while you're supposed to be going straight. So
they shut it down.
Immediately what I imagined. They shut the ride down and eventually the entire park, yeah.
Wow. All right, so the windows slammed, the dressers were sliding open, and the sliding closet doors were rattling. The hallway was booming with noise from... more sliding closet doors being forced open. Before I knew it, B was down the hallway telling me we needed to go. He's like, I'm not picking you up off the floor. I'm outie. You better get up. I just imagine that Friday the 13th movie, not Friday the 13th, I'm sorry, Nightmare Christmas, no. Nightmare on Elm Street. That movie.
The Nightmare Before Friday the 13th on Elm Street. That one.
The Nightmare on Elm Street, where there's the earthquake in the beginning of the movie, and then the whole wall
New
cracks
Nightmare.
Open.
Yeah, but it cracks in three specific.
Yeah.
Wait,
that's
no.
what I just...
Four claw marks.
That's what I'm imagining happening during this whole thing. I don't know where he thought we were going. I was naked, soaked, and didn't think it'd make sense to try and run down from our 7th floor apartment. This turned into a brief argument of him telling me to get dressed and me telling him to go stand under a doorway. Quick pause. I'm not above just bolting outside to safety in just my birthday suit when it's a matter of life or death. So I was just shrugging at him, trying to get me to leave the apartment, but to also dress.
I think it's funny because it reminds me of Forgetting Sarah Marshall when there's the earthquake and they're all standing outside. And what's his face? Jason Segel is standing there completely naked with his hands holding his cock and balls. So he wouldn't like be showing when everyone was like standing outside. And like one of the friends like crying is like, "It's gonna be okay, buddy." He's like rubbing him on the back with a hand that was just covering his junk.
Oh my God.
So that's what could happen if you ran outside in your birthday suit. Just
all right. So I was in the hallway doorway watching the chandelier swing and my poor betta fish do somersaults.
Aww.
Oh, poor thing. When the earthquake shuddered and slowed, I was still being ushered by B until he realized the earthquake was ending. I then took that moment to go put some clothes on. I could hear people outside in the parking lot. One curiously shouted to someone else, "Did you feel that?" Sounds like the whole place was like shaking to high heaven. And
what if someone shouted back like, "No, it's just you"?
That would have been awkward.
You just feel like you're insane.
I attempted to call my leadership, but our landlines weren't working, so I waited for someone to call my cell phone. We were recalled back to work when the call came. Since I was on the night shift from the exercise, I was part of the crew that rolled right into relief efforts. I can't say for sure how long I remained on the night shift from that point. It was stressful, tiresome, but also an eye-opening time. The Japanese are incredibly resilient and would thank us profusely for staying with them and helping. That's so nice. That's very, very, very nice. Some of the Japanese employees would death hug me.
Death hug? That's adorable.
You know what's funny is us hugging the mascots at Tokyo Disney was like hugging tiny.
It's such a fluffy character, and then you hug someone that's just so skinny.
And you feel their skeleton inside, and you're just like...
It feels like you're hugging a skeleton.
Yeah. Because we're just such big people in comparison.
I towered over literally everyone at Tokyo Disney.
So the fact that this person's saying like the employees would death hug them makes me feel like they really meant it.
Yeah,
you know?
they did.
And so they would death hug me and tell me I needed to stay. Despite the rough news coverage, we weren't going anywhere. I was part of the team that would bring in personnel from other locations, and while I wouldn't pick being on the night shift willingly, I loved the team I was with. That's really nice. My two favorite moments are when myself and a favorite bus driver got sent out to retrieve passengers from a plane that wasn't there. Despite the guy on the radio swearing it was there, and seeing, for the first time ever, a C-5M aircraft. So they went to go pick these people from the plane. The plane wasn't where the guy said it was, and then they saw this C-5M aircraft.
We'll need more information on
I don't
these
know.
things.
I don't know what that is.
Those might be completely different events. Those might be the
cool,
same
though.
event.
Yeah,
we
knows?
need to know more. Would you like to know more? Yes,
Yes,
I would.
yes.
I'm clicking yes.
A lasting image I have in my head to this day is the morning of my shift coming to an end for the day. I was on the bus to go meet my last passengers. As we drove along the flight line, I took in a view that seemed incredibly accurate for a place called the Land of the Rising Sun. That is really cool. This email may have gotten long, but I truly hope you enjoyed it. I want to write in again in the future to talk about teenage me getting scared halfway to death in a house my stepdad and his family were renovating. But I want to save it for after I've caught up on the podcast. Until then, very respectfully, Nisha. P.S. In reference to the episode asking how you remember the whole northeast southwest thing, I use Nisha's eating sour worms. That's freaking adorable.
I think that's the official scarish one from now on is Nisha's eating
cute.
sour worms.
I think that's really, really cute.
That is. That's an excellent email. It's awesome to hear. It's like...
Earthquakes really are scary. They're not just scary-ish. I find them to be absolutely terrifying.
They're a natural disaster, and you just got to cross your fingers and hope it's not going to be that bad of one. Like, when ours started, and ours wasn't even ours. Ours was in California. It was just so big that it was... We felt it in Vegas, you know? And I remember when ours started...
Sounds like a porn joke or like a sex joke in there somewhere.
There is definitely one in there. So, I was sitting on the couch. We were both sitting on the couch, and I think we were playing Overwatch. We were doing something where we were both in the loft.
We were both playing
on the same
video games
couch.
In the loft. And
Robin
because
was-
our TVs are next to each other, so we sit there together. And
Robin was crisscross applesauce. So her feet weren't on the ground. And I had one foot on the ground, and that's the first thing I felt. My foot felt like it was like shaking, and I realized my foot on the couch didn't feel that way. And I thought about it for like a second before I said anything to avoid like the spousal ridicule that you get when you're wrong about something. And I was like, are we having an earthquake?
well, I looked over, and the blinds were shaking back and forth.
At first she was like, I don't know. And then I was like, put your foot on the ground. And then when she put her foot on the ground, she's like, oh, we're having an earthquake. And then it just started. It was just like a tremor at first, so it could have been like a truck passing by persistently. And then it just kept getting like more and more and more to the point where everything in the room started to shake. And it got to the point where it was...
We should have run to look at the pool.
I'll be honest. It was fun. And like I thought, like, this is fucking crazy. It's everything's shaking. It's like being on one of those beds. It's like...
I would have loved
the
to
whole
see
house.
the water like splashing back and forth.
And it just kept like escalating. And I remember thinking, like, looking at the TVs as they started to move. My TV's not mounted. My TV's just on a stand, and it was wobbling. And that's the moment it hit me. I was like, this has instantly gone from fun to, holy shit, things are going to start breaking. And I had that instinct of, like, I need to go grab the TV before it falls forward. And that's around the time it subsided and stopped. And my mom saw the pool out back, and she said our pool was just fucking wave pool. And that's how they were across the valley. And that was the first time I had actually felt an earthquake. Since I moved here, I've been here for like 10 years, you know? So I can't imagine what it's like to be in one that's like an epic natural disaster.
Yeah.
So it's always enjoyable in a weird way. I know we all have this morbid fascination with weird things like supernatural and true crime, but it's always super interesting to me to hear from people that have gone through natural disasters, because those are like incredibly compelling and 100% real stories. And like you said, they're not scary-ish. They're just straight up scary.
I can't imagine going through that. And okay, for me, I would be the person who's like, no, I have to put clothes on first, you know? I'm not going out naked. No one wants to see this.
If I had a shirt on and I was like bottomless, I'd be like, let's do it. But if I had pants on and I was topless, I'd be like, I need a shirt. I don't want anyone to see my boobs. So some things I'm proud of, some things I'm not. But thank you so much for sending in your story. I want to hear more natural disaster stories too. If you folks have those,
be very interesting.
I really do want to hear them. So send them our way.
Some are probably going to be pretty disastrous, though, where it's like, I lost my whole house.
Yeah. If you want to send those in, I'm not saying you have to, but it's cathartic sometimes to tell your story, and we would like to hear them. So thank you so much for sending that in, Nisha.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Glad I nailed that name.
So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back.
So this is going to be my next email of the episode. Hello. It's Fairy. This is my third time emailing you guys. Thank you for sending in your emails. We so appreciate it. And I felt a little bad doing so. I didn't want to seem annoying, but oh well.
Don't ever worry about that.
Last night I was laying in bed and woke up to the strongest feeling that someone was standing right over me. It was pitch black in the room, so even with my eyes open, I couldn't see anything. After just being paralyzed by fear for a good 2 minutes, I quickly grabbed my phone from the nightstand and turned on the flashlight mode and realized, thank God, that there was nothing there. You can also tell your phone if it's an Android or if you have Google, like Lumos, and it'll light up.
Yeah, you can use the Harry Potter spell and it should work.
You say, hey Google, Lumos, and it turns on. Or
okay, Google.
Is it okay, Google? And then Knox turns it off. Just a little Harry Potter knowledge nug there for you. Anyway, after that happened, I tried to go back to sleep but was too paranoid. So I took my blanket out to the living room and watched The Office until I felt safe enough to go back to sleep. My sister, growing up, would do the same thing. If she did not have a good time sleeping in her bed, she would take the blanket, pillow, go downstairs and just watch TV until the sun came up. And I would come downstairs sometimes. And you know how DVDs, people stream a lot these days, but we used to watch DVDs, like TV series on DVD before streaming was big. So you'd come downstairs and it would just be on the DVD menu and it would replay. Oh, what the thing
is like bring
No. Like the play.
Oh, the
options.
Intro. Gotcha.
Yeah. So it'd be on that screen playing. One day it was Will and Grace. So it's the Will and Grace theme song over and over and over again. And it's just the menu music playing over and over and over again because she had watched the whole DVD, fell asleep, and left it.
That's the theme song. It's like, I'll be there for you.
That's
the one,
Friends.
Right? No, I think that's wrong. I don't know. We'll find out.
Okay. I was going to say, even BTS know who Friends are, okay?
Okay. I'll give you that. BTS does know who Friends are, and one of the guys learned to speak English by watching it.
RM, shout out to you. Okay. Anyways, that's what happened last night, and I wanted to share it with y'all. While I'm here, I wanted to share a topic you might be interested in doing for an episode. Remember how in my last email I mentioned how My Chemical Romance is my favorite band? Well, I recently found out that they recorded and wrote a lot of the Black Parade album in a supposedly haunted mansion called the Paramore. I feel like I've heard of that before.
There's another story
and not
about,
just the band.
we should do like a haunted albums topic. Ooh. Because there's a Mars Volta story.
What?
Have you heard that?
No.
Diaz in the Comatorium, I think it is. It's like they had a Ouija board specific to like some of the songs they were writing. I think I might be mixing two stories now, but yeah, there's definitely some stuff out there. I think it'd be a really good topic.
That would be really interesting. I don't know much about it, but apparently while they were staying there in that house, some paranormal stuff happened. Maybe Robin could do the mansion as a topic because I know she's mentioned that she likes MCR. I seriously
She loves MCR.
I love MCR. And I'm sure there's some story behind the house. It's interesting. Okay, love y'all. Bye. Thank you so much, Fairy, for sending that in. That sounds really cool. And the fact that you gave us an idea to look into is awesome.
Indeed. I found a Post-it that I wrote like months ago when I was still at my last job from a topic suggestion I got from a coworker. And all it said on it was Superstition 3, the death invite. And I don't remember the premise of it, but I'm pretty sure it was a suggestion about superstitions specifically that invite death, you know? Like when you put your chopsticks in like a bowl of rice or whatever, like sticking straight into it, how that's supposed to be like a bad sign because it's similar to when you put in incense when you're mourning a loved one. Mm-hmm. It was like, I should just do a topic that's all about that. So I found that Post-it note like yesterday. And I was like, that's a really good fucking idea. So maybe we'll have a suggested topics episode coming up very soon. Who knows? But thank you so much for sending that in. We appreciate the story and the topic suggestion. All right, I'm going to move into my final and the last email of the show. And this one's subject is Talking Dolls and Clowns using podcast. Holy shit, why did I send this one to myself? I should have had Robin read this one.
Adam hates clowns.
I'm not a fan of talking dolls either, but I don't think many people are. All right, starts out like this. Hi, Robin and Adam.
Hello, that's us.
Hello, what's up? I found your podcast on Spotify. Shout out to Spotify. When quarantine started while going on walks, playing Animal Crossing, or randomly getting ready to go nowhere. And I love Scary-ish so much.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
It's nice to know that we've helped out with quarantine just a little bit. I have many stories of scary shit that have happened in my home and neighborhood when I was little. I have many scary stories of scary shit that happened in my home and neighborhood when I was little. Things happened to my neighborhood friends as well. Sounds like you lived on Elm Street. Fuck. I live in a small neighborhood that consists of 3 streets, an elementary school, and dirt/hills everywhere else. These are 2 incidents that happened to me when I was 5 or 6. You can tell them on the podcast.
5 or 6 is a very impressionable age.
It's also when stuff happens that's really fucking creepy to kids. No one believes them because they're a kid. Just saying. This first one's called Talking Dolls in all caps. When I was 5, I got a doll for my birthday that talked. I guess she was meant to be potty trained because she came with a little toilet. She had a switch on her neck, and when you turned it on, she would hum and then say, "Gotta go potty." It's like you get a kid that to teach them how to potty train something so that
Who
they like
invents these
stay
things?
Potty trained. I don't know. Marketing geniuses in the world, obviously.
Oh my god.
One night, before I went to bed, I put her on top of my dresser. Keep in mind, she was nowhere near the edge of the dresser, but more like the middle-ish. I always turned her off because my mom was a stickler for saving battery life, so it was an ingrained habit for me to turn off anything I used with batteries. She turned off. Well, in the middle of the night, I woke up to the sound of her saying her catchphrase, "Gotta go potty," and a loud thump. I was so scared because I had turned her off, so there was no way she could have talked.
It's like someone pushed her off, or she climbed off.
Exactly. I hid under my blankets and struggled to fall back asleep and did not dare get out to even go to the bathroom. When I woke up, I had the courage to look because it was no longer dark and she was on the floor in the middle of my room, which was a far distance from my dresser.
So it's like chucked off. It's not even...
Or she was coming for him in the middle of the night. Just saying.
Fuck that!
Remember, I didn't put her near the edge, and even if I did, there was no way she would have ended up that far away from the dresser, which was up against the wall. Up against the wall, up against the wall. I don't know why that song's in my head. When I saw her on the floor...
I love that song. That's Under Oath.
Is that Under Oath? Oh, God. When I saw her on the floor... Oh, God. My brain is polluted. When I saw her on the floor, I was like, fuck that. I didn't really say that, but you know what I mean. And threw her away. I didn't tell my mom because I was afraid she'd get me in trouble for throwing a perfectly good toy away. If a toy is haunted...
It's not perfectly good.
It's possessed by a demon, it's not perfectly good. It's a perfectly good vessel for the Antichrist, but it's not perfectly good. It continues. The next night, another one of my toys spoke out of turn.
Shut the front door.
I had a box of Mega Blocks, in
Why
parentheses,
do all these toys talk?
big Legos, that came with a little Lego guy that had a button on his belly. When you pressed it, he would say, Mega Blocks, ha 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 ha, in a high-pitched little boy voice. I kept him in the box of blocks, which sounds awesome, which I stored in my closet. In the middle of the night, I heard him say, Mega Blocks, ha 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 ha, but in a lower-pitched, scary tone.
No, freaking... It's because he's smothered by blocks.
Yeah, that sounded like Megatron from Transformers. In parentheses, Transformers was not out at the time, but this is the best way I could describe it to you. Since he was in the closet, I was brave enough to make it out of my room and into my parents' bed because, again, fuck that.
He's just trying to talk to all his Decepticons.
Right? I mean, if it's an automated... If it's something electronical and it sounded like Megatron, then it's probably fucking Megatron. Was there a cube in your closet that you didn't know about that perhaps needed to be shoved in someone's chest?
Oh my god.
That's the first Transformers movie.
I know.
Put it in my chest. This time, I did
you
tell
think
my
that's
mom...
what he sounds like?
No, it's just I tossed it out there because I'm trying to get back to the thing. I could summon up an Optimus Prime, which is, by the way, the character who said that, not Megatron.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
that's why I'm like, that's what you think he said.
You
sounds
decided
like?
that you're going to do this. Give us your best Optimus Prime.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Autobot. No, I can't
That
do
wasn't
it.
actually too bad.
I can't do it. Autobots roll out.
I remember when they announced... This is such a fucking tangent. I remember when they announced the Transformers movie was coming out, they were like, Michael Bay directing, and everyone's like, shit! And then they, in the same announcement, I'm pretty sure, were like, and the voice actor for Optimus Prime, and it's the guy from the cartoons that everyone grew up with, and he announced himself over the PA, and people were like, alright, we'll fucking see it. It's like, you brought him back. You got us.
Did you guys know that the guy that plays Roadhog in Overwatch is the guy that plays Megatron at Universal Studios?
I knew that because I was in the panel where we got to see all the people from the... Not all the people, but a bunch of the Overwatch heroes and villains.
I was thoroughly
speak at BlizzCon.
surprised and impressed. It was funny. Anyway, okay, let's get back to this email and off of this really random Transformers tangent.
He brought up Transformers, not me. So, this time, voice went off in the closet, kid ran into his parents' bed. Fuck that. This time I did tell my mom, and she asked for the toy because she suspected his battery ran out, and that's why his voice was so low-pitched. But then she pressed the button on his belly. He said his catchphrase in the regular, high-pitched little boy voice. So it was definitely not due to low battery. Lucky for me, my mom believes in paranormal shit, so she let me throw him away. I also told her about the doll the night before, and she didn't get me in trouble. Yay. She obtained holy water from our church and sprayed it all over our house. After that, nothing happened with my toys ever again, but best believe I avoided toys that talked after that.
I would definitely avoid them too. I just think it's a bad idea. What's funny is we got a cat piano for our friend's
Oh god,
kid,
it's haunting.
and they were telling us that like it makes sounds to try and get the kids to come back to it, and so it's just random and frightening to hear the sounds in the middle of the night of this cat piano.
Yeah. It's like all the tones are a cat meowing, but it's like in different like levels and different keys and
But
octaves.
I just think talking toys scare me. They really do.
Well, if you think that's scary, just wait for the next half of this email titled
Oh man, I also hate clowns.
Clown in My Backyard. When I was 6 years old, two family friends who were siblings that lived in my neighborhood would often come over to play while our moms hung out in the house. Their names are Samantha and Caesar, possibly Cesar, not sure. I'm saying that. It just says Caesar here, but it might be Cesar. And we were all around the same age, 5, 6, and 7. My backyard has a bunch of trees, so we like to play jungle hide and seek because there are a lot of places to hide. We were standing in a huddle playing rock, paper, scissor, which I am familiar with, to decide who was going to be it and who was going to hide. Suddenly, a creepy, short clown with paper white, wrinkly skin, red hair, and blue lips came out from behind the trees.
That is terrifying.
This sounds like a deranged person. He was laughing and said, "Come here."
I almost said it's Gary Busey, but what's the serial killer's name?
Gary Busey is definitely not short.
No.
John Wayne Gacy.
Yes.
He was also not short. We all screamed and booked it toward my house. Samantha and Caesar made it inside, but I tripped on the steps leading up to the door.
Oh my
The clown
God.
was right behind me,
my God.
and I was staring back at him in shock. My body was facing the door, my head was looking back at him. I got so scared that I couldn't move or scream. I just remember my heart pounding out of my chest and feeling really stifled. Kind of like when you get sleep paralysis and try to scream, but you can't. My mom finally came out because Samantha and Caesar were crying inside and had told her about the clown. When I heard the door open, I looked away from the clown and saw my savior, my mom, LOL. When I turned back to look at the clown, he was gone.
So it's like, who was it?
I have cold chills because, like, it's a clown. I'm fucking skeptical. You know, I'm like, clown ghost, are you sure? But it's terrifying, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a nightmare about this later tonight. My mom thought it was someone who broke into our backyard to freak us out and then checked the whole backyard. She didn't find anything and told us that everything was okay. I low-key think she thought it wasn't okay because that weekend she got holy water again and spread it all over the backyard. We never saw the clown again. Holy water works, no lie. Just saying, side note, my personal opinion, it sounds like your mom used the holy water on the house because she thought there was some entity in the house that was playing with toys. And I don't know what kind of entity would play with toys to, like, attract a kid, but maybe a fucking clown. And then you went outside, and this fucking entity is outside, like, now I'm going to murder you.
What was that?
And your friends were okay because they ran inside the house. It was your computer turning on.
Oh, my God.
It does it all fucking day. It's always like, bing bong, which is the noise a clown's noise makes, I think. Noise, whatever. Bing bong.
You're so dumb.
All right. I don't think this was our imagination because you might be thinking, oh, these kids were playing pretend and following along and someone's role play. But when we saw it and ran away, none of us said anything about a clown. There was no time for that. When my mom got to me on the steps, Samantha and Caesar were telling my mom about the clown. So that confirms we weren't imagining anything because we all saw the same thing without previously communicating with each other.
Yeah.
Now we are 22, 23, and 24, and we still talk about that day, and we still believe that what we saw was real, but in a paranormal way. I don't think it was someone messing with us. He was around our height, like 3 feet. Our 5-year-old's 3 feet tall? I don't even know. And old-looking. If you want to rationalize it, you can say it was really short old man in clown makeup, but I doubt it, because old people and small people would have struggled to jump over my backyard fence to even get to us. I'm really not trying to be rude. No offense to old people or short people. Plus, my backyard is very big, and he disappeared too quickly. It would have taken him a while to get out of sight between the time I fell and when my mom came out. Side note, my neighborhood is surrounded by a dirt rural area with hills, and many people say there used to be a lot of witchcraft in the area back in the day. I believe it because of all the scary shit I experienced, as well as my neighborhood friends, both at home and at school, which was in the area. Our neighborhood might be haunted. By what? I don't know. We think only children can see these things because we all stop seeing shit once we hit our teens. It's because when you hit your teens, you're just, overloaded with hormones and your focus becomes not scary things, but sexual desire. Thank you for reading I said that, not the email. That was just me. Those are my opinions.
What?
Thank you for reading my stories, my 2 stories. Sorry if they were too long. I really wanted to share with y'all because I knew you'd believe me. I have more, which I will share at another time. Keep on creeping on. Steph. That's some scary shit, Steph. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. And man, I fucking hate clowns.
It just made me remember that my mom had like this white bottle that had a cross on it growing up, and it was probably full of holy water.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And I don't know what she would have used that for. But I don't know. Maybe I was haunted at some point or something. My sister likes to think I was, but
sounds like a question you should probably ask at some point.
But yeah, so cool.
I think there's always certain questions you should ask your parents when you get older about experiences that you can still remember. And even if you can't remember them, just sort of ask, like, did anything creepy happen when I was a kid? And just watch your parents' reaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they'll tell, even if they don't want to tell you, they might be a little bit creeped out by the question because they remember something immediately that creeped them out.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might not be something that happened to you. Sometimes it might be something that you did. Because if I asked that question to my parents, who've always been very open with me, the first things they probably think of was my sleepwalking incidents. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, if you have random memories where it's like, my mom had holy water in our house for some reason, ask that question. Try and find out why. Right on. Thank you so much one more time for sending in that email. So thank you so much to everyone who sent in their emails for this show. We sincerely appreciate it. It's always fun for us to read stories that are enjoyable, and it's always nice for us to read stories sometimes that are heartfelt. We get those as well, and whatever the case may be, we sincerely appreciate the fact that you chose us to share it with. And if you have a story like that you would like to send our way, you can email storytime@scarish.com. You can also go to facebook.com/scarishpodcast and hit us up that way. From that page, you can join our Spooky Friends group, which is our Facebook group. We have over 1,000 members that we acquired with
Yeah,
no
thank you guys so
solicitation.
much.
We weren't those type of people that are like, we're going to have an open group that we just invite 1 million people to that we've never met. No, it is completely organically grown from grassroots campaigning by our spooky friends.
And we are so thankful to everybody who shares our podcast at sleepovers and
Cool.
in car rides. You guys are absolutely awesome.
And when your husband tells you to listen to a podcast, so you do. These are all things that we found out just by doing the live episodes and reading the stream chat.
Being able to talk to all of you is super amazing.
It's just
Thank
so
you.
much fun. So one last time, thank you so much. If you want to hit us up on our social medias, Twitter is @ScarishPod, Instagram is @ScarishPodcast, and we hope to hear from you. You can send your story there if you would like as well. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go ahead and go on over to patreon.com/scaryishpodcast. Those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1, so you can listen to episodes ad-free if you don't want to listen to any ads. It's a freaking $1 a month. It's great. And there's a whole bunch of tiers on there. There's Badge of Honor tiers where I actually mail stuff to you. It's great.
She mails a lot of stuff nowadays, too. Just saying.
My God.
I think it's technically supposed to be one piece of mail every 3 months. Every season, they get like a badge. But
I mail out stickers and stuff periodically.
She mails
throughout
much
the year
more than
too,
that. It's just not like 100% guaranteed because there's never like a schedule, but she's far too artistically inclined to not be creating all the time. So shout out to Robin on that.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking awesome.
You can also go to ko-fi.com/scaryishpodcast. Those are one-time donations. All your donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup, help us keep the podcast going, and make more episodes. And thank you everybody who watches the stream. And if you're new to the stream, we appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us, yeah.
Hop onto the podcast, things like that. We talk about spooky stuff. It's great.
It was really, really, really wonderful this past week because Robin has been using an old monitor for a very long time. Like, old.
Like 15 years old.
So it's like right when they first didn't have the huge asses to them. And the colors are not great on it. And she does all the art you've ever seen her create on that or her iPad, you know? And we were able to go and find her a Labor Day sale monitor that is much bigger and much better. And we were able to say, like, okay, what credit card do you want to put this on? Like, what money do you want to take this out of? And it's like, oh, wait, no. Like, we tend to save up the money that you folks send us so that when we get to a point where we realize there's a piece of equipment that is aged the fuck out and we need to replace it, it's like we have that waiting. And we are able to soften the blow because you folks have donated. And it means so stinking much. Like, we were talking about it in the car. I can't believe we get to do that out of the kindness of people's hearts for what we do. So, I just love looking over and seeing this enormous monitor on her desk that I know she's going to create such amazing things on. And it's directly because you folks are so supportive. So,
thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate you. Please keep listening to episodes. Please keep supporting us and keep on creeping on. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.